Life is way easier than a lot of us think it is. It's just our programming that makes it harder. I want to highlight some thoughts and feelings and insights that I'm having at the moment around this because I feel like I'll never see reality the way that I'm looking at it right now again. I'm in a transition coming from one realization to another. And it's all about this. It's about finance, really, capitalism, making money, success in that realm. And I don't really know if there's anybody on the planet that wouldn't say that having more money would make their life better, would make their life easier. I know there's studies that say up until a certain point, you know, there's a certain point where more money doesn't help anymore. But I think most of us are in a place where more money would equal more security, more freedom, more happiness. And for anybody who's new, this is my video journal. It's not intended to be advice or guidance. I'm just expressing what I'm thinking and feeling in the present moment. So there's so many ways that I could start this off, but I was watching an interview with a guy from a third world country who's become incredibly successful, and the interviewer is basically saying to him, like, and you started out homeless, like you had to sleep under a bridge, sort of projecting that story onto this person in a way. And the guy that's from the poor country who's become really successful, he chuckled. He was like laughing. He's like, it's a matter of perception. For you, like, you can't imagine living that way, but for me it was like backpacking, like I'm just on an adventure. I'm on an adventure in America to see the American dream. Like, I'm just camping out under the bridge, you know. It's a totally different perspective, and I found that really relatable because I've been homeless, quote unquote homeless. It feels like I should say quote unquote homeless now, 3 times, and the last time was 100% intentional, and it was absolutely like a holiday. It was something that I wanted to do for myself. I didn't want to deal with the responsibility of having a secure place with all of my belongings. I just let it all go, and I went for 5 months being just with a ute and a swag and all that. And it was like, why I'm linking those two things together is because I had that same perception. Like, people are like, oh, you're homeless, you have nothing, so tragic. It's like, no, I'm free and I'm on a holiday and I'm learning and growing and having this amazing experience, just soaking up all of this knowledge and really having the opportunity to challenge myself in this austerity, you know, like you don't have a lot of things, but you can still make do, you can still find a reason to smile. Like, the best thing in the world, at one point I said in the journals, was if I have shade and water, I'm happy. And I genuinely embodied that in that moment. Like, that's all that I needed in this whole world. And so that's the sort of premise for what I'm saying. Like, life is way easier than we sometimes think it is. But the second part of what I said was, it's our programming that makes it hard. And I think we all have this idea, no matter where you are in life, no matter how much you have or how much you lack, you're at a particular stage of abundance, success. Like, you're in a place, and you could define that place, but you can also define the place that you're heading to, that you wish that you could be, the amount of money that you would like to make from your job, or, you know, you can imagine what you would like your life to be like. And our programming, and when I say programming, I just mean our culture, our traditions, our schooling, like everything that, you know, all of the education that we receive through all sources, like television, radio, music, pop culture, our programming, like all the stuff that tells us how to be and who to be and how to navigate life, whether unconsciously or consciously. It's all going in there and it's all shaping who we are. So our programming's saying, like, you need to get to that place. You need to become the person who has the bigger house, the nicer car, the better job. And, we try to do it all at once. And the biggest trap in all of our programming, no matter where you are, like, you could have no income and be living on a mattress under a bridge, or you could have, a minimum wage job and, a 1-bedroom unit, or you could have a doctor's salary and have a 6-bedroom house with 3 bathrooms and 5 cars. But every single one of those people is going to be looking at, what I should be and like what I should be striving to become, which is fine. It's actually a positive thing. It's what makes us as humans strive to complete incredible projects and, innovations. But what I'm noticing is, if you can just short circuit that one program that says you need to put all of your effort into getting to that ideal, and you can actually just spend some time where you are, which might sound crazier for the person living on a mattress under the bridge than it does for the one with the 6-bedroom house and 3 bathrooms and 5 cars on the doctor's salary. But it's all the same treadmill that we're on, and all that it really takes is to put in more effort than you're expecting a return from life. So this is like this huge epiphany for me, really, but it's almost kind of embarrassing to admit it or to talk about it, and I'm not really sure where that embarrassing feeling's coming from, but it's like I'm living like a poor person in my relative spectrum. Like I said, everybody's somewhere on this spectrum, and but I'm putting in the effort of a rich person, and my income is as if I have the income and the earning capabilities and the cash flow of somebody who is a few standard deviations better off than I am, but I'm actually living my life. The lifestyle that I'm living is a couple of standard deviations less than I could afford. So this is the key that I actually want to articulate, and at the moment I feel like I'm communicating the least effectively that I ever have. So, and I guess the reason why there's a missing piece in the puzzle here is like, okay, so you want me to live like a poor person but work like a rich person. What's the point of that? Why would I go and suffer? Or like suffer, like why would I have less than I can have? Like why would I enjoy less pleasures than I can enjoy? Why would I live in a house that's smaller than I can afford? All of these things. The missing piece of the puzzle is like, none of us are raised with the programming that having leftover money is an asset. Like none of us are really taught how to invest. Or when I say none of us, I mean anybody who's watching this still and listening. I certainly wasn't taught, like, if you can keep some of your income and not spend it on just creating like the big house and the nice car and the family, the white picket fence and everything, that money can actually be employed. That's a word that these investors use. I've heard the phrase, we want to see money employed. Like, it's as if, dollars and cents are employees to rich people, and they're sending out their dollars and cents into the world to work for them, to create more money. And, that's just such an alien concept to somebody who has been homeless or has never been raised by a family or an education system that's shed any light on the fact that money can be used to make money. And most of the people who are poor or low socioeconomic class, we all have the program as well, whether it's conscious or not. You've heard this and you've probably said this, like money is the root of all evil. And we're all looking at money like it's the reason why we're in these prisons. But that's another part of this programming that I'm talking about that makes life harder than it needs to be. Life isn't actually hard. All we need to do is put in more effort and expect less of a return. And now that I'm doing this, I said at the start of the video, I'm in this transition period, and soon I'm not going to see reality this way anymore. This is a very unique moment because I haven't got the result yet, and I've already put in all of the effort. Like, I've already set up all the dominoes ahead of me, so I can see that it's going to work, but I actually don't have the result yet. So I'm in this place where I'm kind of pondering it. And if it wasn't for that, if it wasn't for the fact that I don't have the result yet and I'm in this limbo state, I wouldn't be thinking about this, I wouldn't be contemplating it, and there would be no video journal right now where I'm sharing these insights that could ultimately be crucial pieces of the puzzle for so many people who want their life to be better, but they just have like, if you don't know how your life can be better, then why would you strive? Like, why would you put in the effort? Why would you work 100-hour fortnights and then come home and work on your side hustles and do all these other things and live in a shitty, like, 1-bedroom unit and, like, struggle? Like, if you didn't know the key to it all is, like, you want to have this surplus of cash. Literally, you just want to have extra money, and then you want to use that money to invest into things. And then another limiting belief, I'm just going to smash money limiting beliefs right now, is like, oh, you need a lot of money to be an investor, or you need a lot of money to get started in having money work for you. But, like, there are so many ways to do it. Like, even my YouTube channel is an example. Not this channel yet, but my main YouTube channel. It brings in up to $500 a month straight up. Like, just gonna say that outright. And that's cash flow that I don't have to, like, if I didn't go to work this week, it doesn't affect that. And if I make more content and I get more engagement and more subscribers, that number goes up. But it's like, you don't have to continue to work for it. So that's just one way. It's a more abstract way, but I just wanted to use that as an example as well. But also, like, we're all thinking like we've got to go out and buy like a business, like this hectic big business that's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and we have never been, like, imagine you're raised by like a really entrepreneurial type father, and like when you were 16 years old, instead of buying your first car, he took you out and he got you to find something that's about the same value as a car to invest in that would actually bring you income. Say you bought a pinball machine, and then you got the local pub to let you put the pinball machine down the pub, and people would just pay like $1 or $2 to play that pinball machine. The pinball machine's going to cost you what? Like, I don't actually know. We do have one, like, down home, mum and dad. I think it was like a few $100s, and that's your overhead costs. And, you know, every now and then it jams up and you need to get it repaired, but I think a lot of people would play it, and your cash flow on that would actually be, if you worked it out as a percentage, it would be quite high. So you could be bringing in income from something like a pinball machine. Another one is like vending machines. Like, there's all these little things. And once you start to think about it, you start to see these opportunities everywhere. And you stop thinking of this world as like a competitive, nasty place where money is the root of all evil, and you just start to think of it as this creative, artistic adventure where, like, what could I do to create more for myself? And then once you get there, now I'm in a place where, okay, I see these opportunities. I see that you can do these little tiny things, and it all adds up. And another thing that I'm going to drop right now is something that I've explained to a lot of people that I know and love. And I used to have a lot of trouble articulating it, but I think now I've pretty much nailed it. So if you're making $700 a week from your job, and you're spending $600 on rent and bills, and you've only got $100 left over, first of all, you don't actually have $100 left over, because there's also the unforeseen bills that always come up when you think that you've saved up a little bit of money, and then all of a sudden something comes up and all your savings are gone. But even if you did, for the sake of making this a simple argument, you only have $100 left after you've worked for $700. Then in my model of finance, which is so simple, like this is not advice or guidance, you've only made $100 this week from your job. So your income is actually only $100. Like, just delete all of the costs out of what you're actually earning and be real with yourself. So that means even if you made $50 from a shitty little side hustle, you would increase your income by 50%. Like, I'm sure that like if some actual finance person watched this, they'd be like shaking their head like, you can't tell people this. Or maybe they would be like, that's exactly it. I've never heard it boiled down into such a simple way before. It can be that simple, I believe. And then if you have, you just keep adding to it and keep reinvesting the surplus of money that you have instead of, because that's the program, right? Okay, so I'm making an extra $50 from my side hustle. I should get a nicer car, or I should get a better place. Like, and we just keep building this financial prison around ourselves that we've got to maintain. When you could probably figure out a way to spend like 50% of your income and you would survive, like just the cheapest possible way that you could live. And then you've got 50% of your income to invest into creating more income. It's all about creating more income. And then once you've created cash flow with the money that you have, so I could move into a much nicer place. I could buy a house once my money is employed and it's working for me, and then I'm not going to work for 100 hours a fortnight to pay off my house. My money that I have employed is creating cash flow, and I can go to work or I can not go to work, but my house is going to be paid off. Like, whatever the situation may be, whatever it is that you want. I could get a flash car and the repayments could be $300 a week or some shit. And if I've already invested enough money that I've got $300 a week coming in from my investments, then that car's paying for itself. It's not actually costing me anything. I don't have to work for it. And that's the part where it starts to sound evil to people who have struggled their whole lives, because it's like, that's not fair. Because somebody else, this is the trap that we fall into. Somebody else got to start with, 100K from their parents or something like that. So we disqualify ourselves because life's not fair. So we just go, oh, I'm not even going to start. But the big takeaway is like, it's only going to take you a year or two of hustling your ass off to get ahead. To really if you really set the intention right now, like, I'm going to cut my expenses to as close to zero as I can possibly get them. I'm not going to waste money on anything. And I'm going to put in so much effort. I'm going to take more shifts at work, or I'm going to make more art. However it is that you're generating your income, I'm going to do more of that. I reckon it would take you 1 or 2 years to get to a point where you would have more money employed that's making, your money would be generating more income for you than your time would be. Or at least you'd be able to make more money from your investments than you need to maintain the expenses that because you've already slashed them down to as close to zero as you can get, right? So I think that it would take you a couple of years to generate enough income from investments where you could finance the minimum viable lifestyle that you could create for yourself, the cheapest way that you could live, and then you not have to work. I genuinely, the way that I'm seeing everything right now, but also at the same time, you have to take into consideration that I've been working on my mental health, my personal development, eliminating every single fucking addiction that I have, every single habit that I have. I've been studying finance. I've been studying psychology. There's probably a huge time investment that goes into it before you even start to think about the financial investment, because the argument could be said that if you went out to live this life, cut all your expenses down and start to try to invest all of your money, you could fuck it up and you could end up with nothing at the end of all of it anyway. So there's a lot of study and time. It's really going to be a huge time investment on top of all of this. I'm just going to leave it at that because there's this windiness that's coming over us now. So if you get anything out of these journals, please pass them on to somebody else you know who may benefit. Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear anything that emerged in your awareness while you were watching this. It would just be really incredible to hear if this triggered off any kind of insight. And go check out kailives.com. There's some resources there that can get you started on your side hustle. It's in there. There's a lot of resources there, but yeah. See you when I'm looking at you.